What if you were able to sit down for lunch with some of the greatest leaders in the world? What would you ask? What would they say? Welcome to the Linch with a Leader podcast, where you're invited to join us in learning the spiritual principles behind big success. Here's your host, Mike Linch.
Welcome to episode 237 of the Linch with a Leader podcast, where we sit down with some of America's greatest leaders and find out how they have learned to lead with their faith out in front. If I've never met you before, my name is Mike, and it is an honor to be on this leadership journey with you, as we're all seeking to be the leaders that we were created to be in the spaces and places that God has put us. And today, the spaces and places could not be more opposite, but yet God brought those two things together for this couple we're going to talk to, and the story is going to be powerful, I know, for you. So I don't know where you're listening from today, but I'm really, really glad you're here. If you are not a current subscriber, I'm just telling you, we've got some stellar episodes coming up. Go to the platform that you listen on, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen, and subscribe. That way you make sure to never miss an episode. And also, if these add value to your journey, number one, share them with a friend. That's an awesome way to do it. And secondly, if you could leave a rating and review, it does help other people find their way to us. Well, today we get to sit down with a couple. I remember seeing the TV documentary about their story. I had heard about them through the years, but had the opportunity to meet them last summer at a camp that they attended that I was speaking at, and fell in love with them as a couple. And then when you hear their story, it is so inspiring. Today, my guests are Jonathan and Maya Irons. You may remember Maya as Maya Moore from the WNBA. She's been tabbed as, Sports Illustrated, the greatest winner in the history of women's basketball. She's in the Hall of Fame. 4 WNBA championships, 2 Olympic golds, a WNBA MVP award, 3 All-Star MVPs, a scoring title, 2 national titles at UConn, and you know, that's just getting started for Maya. But what she's known for even more is walking away from her career to help someone she met who had been falsely imprisoned and help them tell their story, speak on their behalf. And now that someone is her husband, Jonathan. There's no notes to take today. Today is one that will pour gas on your faith. So, if you're in a season of going, God's forgotten me, you need to listen. If you're in a season of, I just need to be inspired, you need to listen. If you go, man, I love a great story, they don't get any better than this. So I don't know where you're listening from today, but I want you to do me a favor. Carve out a little bit of time. Put your ears on to hear and the ears of your heart to really hear. And I want you to hear the story of 2 absolutely amazing people who've seen the faithfulness of God in the highest of places and in the darkest of places. And I want you to pull up a chair and I want you to listen in to my conversation with Jonathan and Maya Irons. Well, Jonathan and Maya, this is such a great opportunity today to sit down with you guys. Welcome to Linch with a Leader, and thanks for joining me today.
Good to be with you.
Absolutely.
Well, it was so fun meeting you guys at camp last summer and we're all away at a camp. You guys are away to be with family, and I'm getting to hang out with you guys for a week and got to meet your special son who is growing and was keeping you guys moving and grooving that week, wasn't it?
Yes.
That is indeed what he does.
And it only has tripled since then.
Yeah.
This level of activity.
Almost.
I can only imagine. How is this new season of parenthood? What have you enjoyed most about it, and what surprised you most about parenting?
I think I've enjoyed seeing how quickly JJ just learns, and he has a hunger for life, and like he's not a bad child. He's just curious. He likes to get in things. Like I can't be mad at him for that. Like to question and get into it. Like that's get into things and figure out what this is, and what happens if I can't go here. Can I throw this toy in there to see what happens to that toy if it goes over there? He's such an amazing kid. He's building things now, and now his words are just exploding, full sentences,
Saying what we say.
all
Keeping us honest, right?
yeah.
That is so fun. You grew up in Missouri. Was that home for you?
Yes.
Good. Good. Tell me a little bit about growing up. When you were a little boy, what did you dream one day you would be doing when you grew up, Jonathan?
Well, I dreamed of, growing up for me was, I lived in a, rural part of, Winston, Missouri. We joke about being so poor that we used to have to climb up the ladder just to say we were poor. And but, it was, my grandmother took care of a lot of kids, and like she was one of those big mamas. And she's also one of the ladies back in the day who would be considered like the help in the movies. She was cleaning people's houses back in the day. And so she instilled work ethics in us and just wanting us to, to try to be united as much as possible. But my family, was eviscerated by, drugs and, other different things. Like there's trauma there, but, my family's doing the best that they can, and a lot of our family members the family members have shined. Like they're doing such good things. I got one that's in the military. She was a sheriff. Really good, really good stuff, man. But there's also, there's also a lot of just difficult things that I grew up in and I experienced, and just things that just it's just a child shouldn't have to deal with. But I'm here today and I'm living, and and just growing.
And it gives you a whole new perspective now raising a son, doesn't it? You think about how you grew up and now you're raising a son and you're like, man, I don't want them to have to experience whatever that is, right?
Yeah, yes. So part of me is, yes, I don't want my child to experience some of the things that I was in, but I also don't want my child to not experience struggle and difficulty.
That's good.
You have to, for a child to grow and live in this world and be on their own. Like, we're not going to be with him forever. So we have to prepare him for the world every day. Everything that we teach him is geared toward preparing him to be able to stand on his own 2 feet
That's
and
good.
deal with adversity. We don't want to raise a child who can crumble under adversity.
That's so good. That's so good. And Maya, you grew up, I know you went to high school here in Atlanta. Was Atlanta home growing up?
So the first half of my childhood was in Missouri,
Okay.
the city, which is the capital. And then when I was 11, my mom just knew we needed some more opportunity than Jefferson City could really offer. We had just a handful of great family and friends, but we needed to go. And we ended up landing in Metro Atlanta, and it was such a great decision. I got really good basketball opportunity, educational opportunity. My mom had more opportunity for different ways to work, and coming from a telecommunications and marketing background. And so that was the second half of my growing up. So I ended up going to about 4 different middle schools and being the tall Black girl with the big feet 4 times. I call that season of my life kind of my desert season, where 12, 13, 14 are super formative years as far as your identity, just even how your brain is developing. And I really found my confidence in who God was as my father. I think in those years, my mom raising me as a single parent, and my faith and God being more real and to me in our relationship happened in those years, and thankfully had that identity more settled going into high school than before we had moved.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. And making it through middle school is not easy. Making it through middle school as a girl is, my son went through middle school and I thought, oh, that's not too bad. Then my daughter went through it. I'm like, there's a lot of drama going on I was not aware of that I'm hearing about there at the house. You made it through, you go to high school, and then you went on and had a fabulous career at UConn. Talk a little bit about that experience, leaving Atlanta, Georgia, been in Missouri, now to Atlanta, to Connecticut.
Mhm.
What was that experience like, moving away and becoming part of a basketball system that they had moving there? Talk a little bit about that.
Man, so much going into that. I think I had an advantage with my mom helping me to always try to think a step ahead. That's one of the other than the work ethic of just showing up every day and you show up for people, my mom instilled in me, think about where you want to go and think about where you want to be and let that inform how you live today. And so I was thinking ahead and dreaming and planning, and like had dreams of playing in college. And so UConn was one of my dream schools. And when I was a junior, I was one of the best players, if not the best player in my class at that point. And so I could choose to go wherever I wanted, which was an awesome blessing for the work that we had put in since I was 8 years old. And when I made my verbal commitment to Connecticut, we started to think about, what does the move look like? And that's a whole different area of the country. I was used to moving, I had moved when I was younger. We actually moved to Charlotte, North Carolina for 1 year in between Missouri and Metro Atlanta. So when I said 4 middle schools, that's where those 2 middle
Wow.
schools
Wow.
I knew what moving looked like. I knew what being on our own. I knew what trying something new, establishing something new looked like. But, going into a different part of the country is also a culture shock, right? You go from the Midwest to the South to the New England area. And so it was great. It was great for me. I think it just helped me grow, helped me learn new perspectives, new cultures, new teammates from different parts of the country. And the culture that was already set in place at UConn was just, it was highly competitive, I think, in a good way, but it was also highly family, the players take ownership of the team because this is ours, right? Like it wasn't the coaches have to motivate us. No, we were self-motivated. We wanted to do it for the person next to us. We wanted to be great. We wanted to have fun. We worked hard, but we celebrated hard too. You could tell when you watched us play, just the passion. And I loved that. I wanted to be a part of that and put my own mark and bring my own gifts and energy to that. And it ended up making some pretty historic experiences for us. So I don't know if I'm proud of it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was watching your college coach on a master class talking about building a winning culture. What did you learn about team that you didn't know going into it? What was something he taught you about playing for a team or the demands of a team you never even thought about when you made that commitment in Suwanee, Georgia to move up there? What'd you learn?
Yeah. Well, I think so many things. Preparation, right? How much preparation goes into what you see? Things don't just happen by accident. Good things and great things happen because people intentionally do things to make them happen. So there's no accidental greatness. There's no accidental thriving. There's no accidental, you have to engage in these things to make them happen. So the preparation. Also, I grew so much in, especially just Gino challenging me to understand that winning cultures happen because you know how to connect. Winning cultures don't happen because individuals are just out there doing their own thing. Winning cultures happen because you take time to see your teammates and to see what's going on, to make yourself vulnerable, to be able to connect with the freshman that's coming in, or to listen, be a listener and not just go in, yep, talking about your opinions and your thoughts and your gifts and your things, but you're a listener and you have fun. You know how to make people feel good and comfortable and celebrated and supported. And they likewise do that for you. So there's so much to what you see from winning organizations is just fundamental relational 101 of how to connect and be with each other and sacrifice. And then you get rewarded and you get lifted up and then you sacrifice. And there's just this rhythm of lifting each other up and putting yourself down and in these good rhythms. And so we got to meet that out year by year. And man, isn't that what our world needs?
That's exactly right. And then you move on to professional, win 4 WNBA championships, 2 gold medals, MVP award. Now you're in the Hall of Fame. As you look back on your career, would you have ever dreamed that, or did somehow you see it?
No, I cannot say I was prophetic in that way. I could, I think that's part of why I was able to be so successful is because I was really good at being in the moment. I try to think ahead. You think ahead, you prepare ahead in the terms of setting yourself up well, setting yourself up around the people, the cultures, the systems that are going to move things towards life. But then you have to be a master at being in the moment and being present. And so I tried my best to be in the moment and to be present and to tune out all the extra noise that wasn't helping me keep my feet on the ground and stay connected to my team. And so that was another masterclass of just going for 4 years of learning how to keep my feet on the ground, stay in the moment, and tune out the noise and learn how to discern what voices I needed to be listening to. I grew up in a time where I was a senior in high school when the iPhone came out. And so I have a taste of what it was like before there was that social media noise. And then I know what it's like to have, what it's like to have all the access in the world to anybody's voice in the world. Right. And so I got to learn that as it was happening through college of this article, this reporter, this person, this blog. They don't know me. They don't know my coaches. They don't know our family. They don't know. So I'm not going to give them that much weight in my heart and in my mind because I only have so much capacity
That's
what
right.
I think about and feel.
Yeah.
So let me worry about the people I'm actually living life with right here in front of me. And it turned out to be a really fruitful path.
Yeah, you had a great path. And while all that's going on, Jonathan, your life changed at 16 years old. You went through a scenario that is as bad as anybody could ever dream. Yet, as you said a few minutes ago, here we are. We're here. we're sitting here. Unpack your story a little bit, because it's a big part of what brought your two journeys together. So Jonathan, unpack the background to your story, and then I want to dive in on that a little bit.
I want to finish up the question that you asked me earlier. You asked me, like, well, I think you asked, like, well, what did I want to do? I wanted to be a police officer. Everything in me, I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to protect people. I wanted to help people. But then that changed, and I had some people in my family that were living on the wrong side of justice and led me down some wrong paths. I ended up getting arrested for something I did not do, and I got convicted of that. And I was sentenced to a total of 65 years in prison for a crime I did not commit in the state of Missouri, which was very traumatic. Like talking about the culture shock, you know, just going from society to an environment like that is literally a concrete jungle. Like everything you would think about to be afraid of in a regular jungle, like lions and tigers, bears and spiders and ants and all the little bitty things. It's very nuanced in the jungle. The same thing inside of a concrete jungle, which is a prison. The dangers range from minuscule to great and beyond to utter destruction. And I'm talking generationally destructive. Like that formative and dangerous.
When you got there, if I said to you the word, there's still hope, Jonathan, would you have bought that? Or would you have gone, man, I don't know if there's any hope left anymore? Tell me where your spirit was when that came down and you went away. Because I think up until the trial's over, there's still that hope that I didn't do it. So I'm going to get off. Justice is going to come. And justice didn't come. What was going through your soul when you went away at that time, when it came to the word hope?
I clung to hope for all of 10 plus years. And beyond, but just in a different way. I held hope with an open hand later on as I matured. But in the beginning, I believed with juvenilistic thinking that there were adults in the room, and at some point, someone's going to admit that a mistake has been made. Come get me. I just always, somebody's going to save me. Somebody. No one came like that. And I got to a realization. I'm like, oh, man. Like I'm in here, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And God is so faithful. He would give me breadcrumbs of hope. Like leading me to different things, leading me to different people, warning me not to go here, for me to stay away from this person. Basically shutting doors and opening windows and shutting windows and opening, closing doors. I mean, like, it's just mind blowing all of the ways that God guided me through a place I had no vision and no forethought, no planning to be able to navigate. And he brought me through that and brought me home safely. Like, it's funny, people that don't know me and they hang out with me for a little bit and they're like, oh man, you're a great guy, man. They think I'm a lawyer. Like, they think I've been in the military. I think I'm just I've been to college. What college you go to? You look like you play ball. Like one other guy, I was in a hearing one day recently, and a guy asked me, he's like, where'd you play ball at? I didn't. I was surviving 23 and a half years of wrongful conviction, so I stayed in check there. People just surprised that, like, I've been to prison, and they feel like I shouldn't be the way that I am. Truly. And I say truly, that is not anything of my doing. That is the Lord's doing, guiding me and putting me around the right people and in right circumstances to bring me this way. Like, it is true that you can be in the fire and come out not smelling like smoke. It is true. I am a living.
Ooh. Yeah, because being around you for a week, so many people that have walked that journey, there's the word bitterness. And we talked about it in one of our sessions, I remember last summer. That word bitterness in scripture is literally a stain. And it talks about the root of bitterness. How have you kept from being bitter? How have you kept from being bitter at life, being bitter at others, being bitter at what you went through, and lived with an open-handedness of, this is my story, and I'm going to let my story now, what you and I are doing, what we're going to get into, bless as many other people as possible. How have you done that?
Well, first and foremost, the Lord had to take me out in this sea of deep waters of grief. Literally, I could, if he let me go, I would have drowned. And I had to be comfortable in that grief and that anger and that frustration and not trust on my circumstances, but trust in him. I lived, and that didn't just happen overnight. And on the other side, he was showing me, like, yes, you have this sea of grief and this crater in your life. But on the other side, like, I'm going to give you things to be thankful for. And these things will keep you in the right state of mind where you're not overcome by that. I came to the realization in prison, like, to be thankful for the very small things and count them and name them one by one. I started getting up, man, I'm thankful to be alive. I'm in prison, but I'm alive. And I'm thankful that I have a cup of coffee. Thank you, God, for that in an environment that is difficult to get a cup of coffee in. I thank you, Lord, for my friends. I thank you, Lord, for my health. I thank you, Lord, for the favor. And like you just start stacking them, it turns into a brick house.
How about that?
That brick house shields you from the elements of outside. Like being in a house, like we don't know it's raining all the time. We don't hear it. But it rains, it's the storm happens, the sun shines. Like everything is happening outside. Trusting in him and counting like the ways that he blesses you. It trains your mind to not dwell on the pain of the things that you don't have. Because when you do that, it's like when Egypt came out of slavery, like they were so bitter, so angry that they could not enjoy the freedom that is in front of them. Like some people will look at a piece of land and be like, oh man, this land is useless. Well, someone else will. It could be a house could be built on a hill. Like they will figure out how to build a house on this hill, and it will be structurally sound. Like you got to be able to transition in that position where you can see things differently and be grateful for what you have. So every day I get up, like the bitterness is there. Like I am aware of the pain. Like every day I get up, like I have a choice to make, and I choose to be thankful because if I think about all the stuff that I lost, I won't be able to enjoy my wife, my son, my freedom because of what I lost. I lost so much, but God has given me so much more.
You know, I heard Joni Eareckson Tada, a great speaker and leader from the years gone by, who went through a massive, massive tragedy in her life. She said, pain introduced me to a Jesus I could have never known otherwise. What did you learn about Jesus there that nobody could explain to you sitting in a church service on a Sunday morning?
Man, God loves like people. The people that you deem worthy and worthless and just vile. People that you like, I ain't loving them. I can't do it. Somehow, some way, God loves them, and he's shown that. People forget to talk about like the criminal that was a convicted criminal that was on the cross, sentenced to death, and was basically being put to death. Said, "Father, remember me." That was the very first person that Jesus took to heaven with him.
That's right.
A convicted criminal on the cross. One day I was sitting in the chapel and I got to look out on the yard and I saw people like, man, I don't like that person. Oh, I like that person. That person cool. Like, man, these people crazy. And the Lord said, like, these are my people. It's like, I love them just like I love you. Like all of you have your flaws. Like I love you. I got convicted about just looking and disdain at people because they're less than or less fortunate, don't look like me. They may think differently than me. Um, like God puts a premium on relationship, and that requires us to step outside of our comfort zone and go talk to somebody who don't look like you, don't smell like you, may not think like you, may not have grown up like you. You name it, the list goes on. Like we cannot do his will if we are slicing humanity multiple ways and dividing. Like I don't want to deal with anyone like that. We always have to be willing to keep the door open as much as possible. Like where there are some things I know, like we can't do anything. We can't change. All we can do is show up and be present and do what the Lord leads us to do.
Well, you're a special man. And I want to tell you that.
Man.
I didn't get to spend an inordinate amount of time with you last summer, but, getting to see you guys with your hair down a little bit and in a pretty relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah.
I got to see who you were. And I want to tell you, based on, we were talking about a friend of mine that had gone through prison and he came out the same way. He just said, man, it was a choice. It was a choice I had to make. Because I don't want it to, it's the bitter better. I can spend the rest of my life being bitter and not get anywhere from it, or I can use it and learn from it and make life better. Man, I want to tell you, you're an astounding person, man. That's right. You're an astounding person. So Maya, you get involved in the story. Because here you are at the height of your career. I mean, things couldn't be trending more up for you. Tell how you got involved in Jonathan's story and it became something more than just a news article to you. It became a burden in your soul. I heard a guy years ago call it holy discontent. They had to do something about it. Unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, my goodness. So like we talked about, I grew up in Missouri for the first half of my childhood. My mom, when she found out she was having me, knowing she was going to raise me as a single parent, wanted to move me around family that she trusted and that had a good environment to raise a little girl. And so the family that she was closest with outside of her parents lived in Jefferson City, Missouri. My great aunt and uncle moved their family there when he got a choir directing and music teaching job at a HBCU in Jefferson City. And so I grew up around that family who were just solid people of faith just showed up, a bunch of teachers in that family. And, we got to just live life with them. And so um, I I had those opportunities to love learning, to have more of a positive schooling experience, to have access to sports and development. And so I'm on this track of just doors are being opened for me. I'm working my tail off. My mom is doing what she can to help me have what I need. My grandparents are behind the scenes making sure we have what we need because sports are expensive. And so I'm just working, grinding, doors are opening, opportunity after opportunity. I look up and I'm getting a full scholarship. I'm looking up, I'm on the national team on the Olympic track. I'm looking up, we're winning national championships. I'm getting drafted to the WNBA #1 and just doing my best to be the best person that I can be. But meanwhile, in the background, I'm still connected to my family back in Missouri, who, unbeknownst to me, in 1999, my great uncle, who's the one that moved one there back in the day, had been doing prison ministry through a choir program for decades. And in 99, when Jonathan about 18, 19 years old, he met Jonathan through that choir program, saw Jonathan, took an interest in his life, learned about him, encouraged him in the right ways, told him he was smart, showed him, like, you have perfect pitch. Like, I'm going to challenge you to be a leader. Like, help Jonathan become just a man of maturity and stature and leadership. And so as my great uncle is learning about Jonathan's story and his case, he starts to share that with his family, with my great aunt, with their kids. And their oldest daughter is my godmom. And so when my godmom and goddad learned about Jonathan's story, they had that holy discontent and were like, this is not right. We have to do something. They didn't know what to do, but they knew they needed to show up and be there for him. And they just went to the prison, like literally started going to the prison to visit Jonathan. They visited Jonathan every weekend for 15 years.
Holy.
Let's ruminate on that for a minute.
Sometimes 2 and 3 times
A weekend.
a day, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, or Thursday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Like literally.
Showed up. Just
Good
like
night.
he became family, right?
Yep.
Over time, as they got to know him, they just stayed committed, and Jonathan opened up his heart and learned, like, oh, they're not going anywhere, and just started to trust them. And so I'm just like this fly on the wall, like watching this happen from a distance of like keep me updated with this story. This is crazy. Because at that time, when I was 18 years old, when I met Jonathan going on a visit with them, I had no idea about prison. And that's on purpose, right? The prison industrial complex is kept hush hush on purpose so that people with beating hearts don't know what's happening in there. And so, prison system is complicated, right? There's obviously a need to have a place to restrain the dangers and the evils that are going on within humanity, but there's also a way that you try to actually rehab and rehabilitate and get to the root causes of why people are doing what they're doing to put themselves in a position of prison, let alone wrongful convictions and corruption and weaponizing the system. There's all that going on too. I had no idea about our mass our mass incarceration problem in the United States. And so my eyes were being opened. Growing up, I'm like, oh, this is not okay. And I'm just keeping in touch, praying. Jonathan and I are becoming friends. I'm open. I have my heart and my hand open to developing a friendship with him after getting to meet him. And we develop a friendship over years. So I'm off overseas winning gold medals, and he's fighting for his life in prison. And so it's just this wild story that goes along, but it's really founded on faithfulness and friendship.
Did you ever dream you would be able to do enough work to get everything overturned for him? Did you feel pretty confident when you really took that leave and went, all right, I'm diving all in on this deal? It's not just a story for everybody else. It's my story now. I'm getting involved. Did you feel pretty hopeful you were going to be able to move things?
Yes and no, right? Like, this is, I am
Good answer.
Learning as we go.
Yeah.
We are trial by error. We are just trying to show up and do the next best right thing as a family, as a community. And so it's like you asked that question. It's like you go to the Final Four and it's like, are you confident you're going to win? It's like, I hope we win. Like, we have a good team, but
yeah,
we don't
I
know
get
what's
it.
going to happen.
Yep, that's right.
Like, really don't know, let alone, going to the game knowing you're hopefully going to get a fair game. In this system, you're going in and you're not getting a fair game. We were just praying every step, trying to do the next best thing. Jonathan taught himself law while he was inside. Over years, he got so good at law, he helped other men get out even before himself. And so Jonathan, in the background of all this, is leading the legal charge of his freedom. I'm just trying to learn from him and play my part to use my megaphone that I have through sports and different relationships to basically just say what Jonathan has been teaching me and showing me, orchestrating his legal team. He wrote he wrote so many drafts to appeals, lost 11 appeals, but the 12th one that he drafted and polished by his lawyers was the one that the judge said yes. And we had a judge, thank God, and the timing that we did that wanted to do the right thing, because all a judge has to do is look at it, say,
That's right.
denied. And
Denied. Assembly line justice, they call it. That's what they call
assembly line justice, and just Jonathan be stuck like so many other people. There are
Yeah.
thousands of, there's confidence that there are thousands of people wrongfully convicted in prisons right now. And so he could have just been another state that way. Yeah, that is kind of what's going on in the background of my, just like you said, that upward trajectory of success on one stage and in one perspective, but there was a whole nother battle going on under the surface.
Jonathan, when that 11th one came down, you've worked, you've drafted, you're personally, it's not like other people are just fighting for you. You're fighting for you. How close did you come to giving up hope? How close did you come to going, you know what? Just forget it, man. I'm throwing in the white towel. I'm out. I'm tapping. I'm just going to use my time to do something else. Did you get close to that, or did it drive you even more to go, nope, I'm coming back and going at it again? What would you say?
I would say a little bit of both. Like there for a time, like the Lord was carrying me. They say, like the art piece. I'm probably not doing it justice. There was two sets of footprints in the sand, and there was one. Like there are many, and not just on the 11th one. Like the prison environment in of itself. Many times I wanted to give up, and there was a time in my life, man, where they were harassing me, and they're so bad that I tried. I tried to take my life, and I built a rope out of sheets, and I tested it, and after I tested it and I was ready, I fell forward. I don't remember what happened. I woke up the next morning with with bright eyes and understanding what I needed to do, and took the rope down. But then also, on the other side, the flip side is like I knew, at the end of the day, like God, you didn't bring me this far just to leave me. Like I know you didn't. So I'm gonna keep going. But if this ain't for you, you need to show. If you don't want me to go home, you need to show me that and be clear, because everything that you showed me is that I'm gonna go home. You've given me dreams, Lord. I talked to him, but I also said, even if you don't let me be free, Lord, I'm still gonna serve you.
That's a powerful statement. And that's a statement made by Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego getting ready to walk in that fire. But even if he does knots of life, or when we don't tie strings to God to an outcome, and that's a big statement. Jonathan, what a story, man. When you think of Maya, what does she mean to you?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I came out with PTSD, and I would have nightmares in our bed. I would be fighting or whatever. Sometimes I would hit her with a knee or elbow, and she'd be like, she had to turn, But I would wake up and I would feel her. She would grab me. It's like, oh my, she helped me see my reality, like where I was at in those moments. Like she's been my anchor. Like she's literally my best friend. Like she's my warrior buddy. We're comrades as we advocate for justice and do the Lord's work. Like we're parents. Like stuff everything we dreamed about, even this house that we live in, like the Lord has put it before us. Like the things that we talked about, having a child. I had a dream. So funny, before I came home, about us having a child, and it was a boy. And we pulled up to Sharon Reggie's house, who are Maya's godparents. We dropped the child off and we left. We do that now.
Quite frequently.
Wow.
Just go back and get him. That's the key. Go back and get him. Don't leave him.
Yeah, we'll be back in an hour or so.
You gotta fight him for attention, boy. I'm telling you, they be trying to, can JJ come up and hang out with us? Like, no, he got to go to the Navy the structure.
That is
People
fantastic.
trying to take him.
He's a very loved child.
Yeah.
That is so good. Maya, when you think of Jonathan, what's he mean to you?
I've said this before. He just gives my life so much meaning. The person that I am today I've been able to just become more of who God created me to be because of my relationship and friendship and journey with Jonathan. He's taught me so much about listening and learning and getting outside of your own perspective to see someone else, to see something else, whether that's through our journey, through getting to know him when he was fighting for his life in prison, or especially in marriage, right? When you're in that intimate relationship and you learn about, man, I am projecting my own world onto everything instead of learning the art of there are other ways to see life. And it makes it more beautiful when you leave space to see from the other's lens, because there's beauty that I think God made it that way.
That's
So
right.
the only way we see the most accurate picture of life and the most beauty of life is when you get multiple perspectives on the story and on the beauty, and it makes it that it just, he's a treasure. I call him my treasure. He's the treasure in the field where I saw the treasure and I sold everything I had and I bought the field so that I can enjoy the treasure. And so I get to watch him and learn from him. All these moments where we're going with the things he's saying, like I get to live that and see it and be encouraged by it because he's real. He's the most authentic person I know. To be a father, to watch, to feel his love and the way he loves me. That's what we all are all thirsty for, is just authentic,
That's right.
genuine love that shows up every day. And it's kisses.
That's right. Well, Jonathan, I'm gonna cut that little piece in the recording so when you get in the doghouse, you can say,
Right.
"Baby, listen, I'm a treasure.
I'm a treasure.
You said I was a treasure,
See that?
so just
My man.
I got your back, baby. I got your back." That's it. That's it. Listen, only reason I'm not in the doghouse now, she ain't home, so that's good. It keeps me clean. Well, my final question today is this: you're raising a precious little boy who is loved by a lot of people. Let's say 20 years from now, I run into him and I say, "Tell me about your mom and dad. Tell me about what they were like. What was growing up like?" What do you pray he tells me? What would you say?
Tells us, man, that he knows he was loved and cared for, and he was taught the right things. He was raised right, and that our legacy lives on in him, and that the memory of us, of how we raised him and our story, inspires him to do amazing things, and that he loves to just, we're lives, to just be with us and hang out with us, and like, he don't want to just move away and not come back. He loves and seeks us out and still loves our counsel.
That's good. Want him to say it was fun. It was
Still her baby, that he's still her baby.
That's right. This is never my baby, even though he's gonna be taller than us in a couple years. It was fun. It was joyful. That he learned how to be a real person, and he knows how to be a safe friend. He knows what it's supposed to look like, what family and community and friendship and relationship. He knows what it's supposed to look like, so that when he goes out in the world or in different parts of the community, like he'll be able to know that's life. Wait, that looks like life, but that's not life. Like I want him to be able to say he feels like he's got the training, the prep, the tools. We set him up to be able to be his own person,
Yes.
a part of this community. Because I think so much of just the anxiousness of even my generation or the younger generations younger, there's this anxiousness because so much has changed and happened in, like I was saying earlier, in my lifetime, of just the technological change, the dynamic of social media, the dynamic of just not playing, not being outside, not interacting, not knowing how to socialize and be in relationship. Like the art of friendship, I think, is just so stunted. And so there's all this anxiety because our young folks don't know how to be in relationship.
That's right.
Know how to relate and connect, and they're anxious and stuck and lonely. And I want JJ to be able to be like, no, I don't have that experience, because I know the slow way of just connecting and relating, and then I want him to learn how to be a gardener.
Mm.
Life is not a microwave. Life is a garden. And so he's not going to be anxious because he knows when that seed is sown, it's not going to rise up the next day. It's a garden. He's going to have that lens of how to see the world, to see people, to see creation in a way that it's not going to produce an anxious young man, but to produce a steadfast young man that has joy. And like Jonathan said, won't crumble under the pressure. Like we want him to struggle and know how to just stick it out, because that's our life. That's the legacy of our family, is literally steadfastness and faithfulness and perseverance and joy, despite the evil that tries to take you down and overcome you. So, but I hope he stays kind of close. If you watch this in 20 years, JJ, you can live right next door to mommy and daddy. He's my baby right now, so I'm saying that now. But when he's a teenager, I might change my mind. But right now.
You need to get out of this house right now.
No.
That's right. That's a
Burn off some energy.
Don't you and your daddy have something you can go do?
I love that. Well, I tell you this, the greatest thing, we talked about this a little bit at camp last summer, the greatest thing of parenting is when you spent those years parenting and they get to come back and be your friend. And there is nothing sweeter than the friendship of your adult kids. And it's worth holding on for. I can guarantee you that.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Amen.
Inspiring, crazy, hard to believe, but man, you see God's fingerprints all over it, don't you? You watch the faithfulness of Maya walking with Jesus through the years of college and the WNBA. And when he tapped her on the shoulder and he had assignment for her that was bigger than the game of basketball, she followed. She did what he asked her to do. And boy, their life now tells such a dramatic story, but such an incredible story of God's faithfulness. And Jonathan, man, what a heart. What a kind soul. Jonathan and Maya blessed my heart meeting them, but blessed my heart, and I hope they did yours hearing their story. If you go, man, everybody's got to hear this. Hit pause, forward this to family, friends, coworkers, hit it on your social media, because more people need to know the story of Jonathan and Maya, because it really is an amazing one. And just a story of God going, yeah, I'll get involved, and when I do, I can change everything. He did. So good. So please forward it, share it with a friend, leave a rating and review. That does help other people find their way to us. And in our next episode, episode 238, we get a repeat guest, Jordan Rayner, back to talk about his new book, 5 Mere Christians. It is so good. It's a sort of a takeoff from his Mere Christians podcast. And Jordan brings so much energy, and he brings so much just joy to the podcast. But the stories he's going to tell about 5 people, you may or may not know their names, but you certainly know the effects of their journey. You're really going to enjoy it. So thanks again for listening today. It means the world that you took time out of your schedule to join us. I want you to do this for me today. Go love God with all you got. Go love people, and then go live sent and make a difference in the world that you're in. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Linch with a Leader podcast with your host, Mike Linch. If you enjoyed this episode, you can help more people hear it by subscribing and leaving a review wherever you may be listening. For full episode notes and more spiritual leadership resources, visit MikeLynch.com.